This is a statutory declaration form, or a stat dec. A person writes some information on this part and then signs it to say that it's true. If the person is found to have lied, they face some very stiff penalties. This document is very useful in law. It forces people to tell the truth on pain of punishment. Imagine if the police contact you and tell you there's a convicted child molester moving in next door. But don't worry, because he's been to jail and he promises not to offend anymore. Now, obviously you won't be happy because you've got 3 young beautiful daughters, so you tell the police he can move in if he signs a statutory declaration. The stat dec says that if he's caught molesting one of your daughters, he'll be thrown into the pit of ravenous hyenas, which you just happen to have in the back garden. Now, if he signs it, that might not put your mind fully at rest because he might be lying. However, if he refuses to sign it, you've got a weapon to use against him. You can go to a judge and say that you believe he'll molest your daughters, because he won't sign the document to say that he won't do that. The judge will then ask the man to sign the stat dec to say that he won't molest your daughters. If the man refuses to sign it, then the judge has to accept that the man has the intention to molest your daughters and he shouldn't be allowed to live next door to you. So this is a really powerful document, which is why it's so commonly used in the law. Now, I'm not here to talk about child molesters, I'm here to talk about Muslims. In recent times, some Muslims have committed unspeakable acts. A lot of people in our communities are therefore concerned that this has got something to do with their Islamic faith. If that's the case, then there could be many more of them who are at risk of committing acts of terror or violence at the behest of their religion. But how do we find out if this is the case? Lots of Muslims are decent, hard-working people who go about their daily lives just like you or me. Unfortunately, lots of serial killers seem like decent, hard-working people too, so that doesn't tell us what we want to know. So we've produced a document called the Declaration of Peaceful Intent. Now, we didn't just pull this out of our hat, it was put together with the help of Islamic experts and ex-Muslims who have deep knowledge of this faith. On the back it has a number of Quranic quotes which call on Muslims to murder infidels or apostates. On the front it reads as follows: I, name and address, understand that there are commands in the Quran which compel Muslims to kill, behead, crucify or commit unprovoked violence against non-Muslims, Jews, Christians, atheists or apostates from Islam. I fully, completely, unequivocally, 100% reject and refuse to believe, practice or teach any of these commands. I believe that these commands from Allah are not applicable, not relevant and should not be practiced in any form in today's world by anyone. Signed, witnessed and dated. So to road test this out, we went to a mosque and had a meeting with the head public relations man for Islam in our state of Queensland here in Australia. We pulled out the declaration, we read it to him and asked him to sign it. And this is what he said. Now, we would like members of the Islamic community to sign this just to say that they don't believe that those commands are relevant. And that would give our community a lot of confidence that this is, that the Islamic community don't believe that.
But you do realise a lot of the radicalisation is not actually from the masalas or the mosques. The radicalisation is online, who children that are at home.
I think so. So I'm hoping that Mr. Qadri would be happy to sign this.
Are you asking me to renounce Quran? Is that what you're asking me?
I'm asking you to renounce the violence.
Are you asking me to declare that I don't believe in my faith? Because you have obviously misinterpreted Quran, and like the terrorists have, Muslim terrorists have.
There's the verses.
Please, I will go through with the verses once. I mean, they have.
You want to renounce them?
Let me tell you this. Because they thought there's some construction.
Now, I asked him several times and made it very clear that the document was saying that he did not believe that the violence in the Quran was relevant for today.
Then you are actually empowering them. You are telling them that they are Muslims and I'm not. That's what I hear all the time.
No.
When I go and argue with people, I say, look.
No, not at all. I'm asking you to sign a thing to say you renounce the violent verses in the Quran and say that they're not relevant for today. That's all I'm asking.
But Harry.
So you're saying that these verses are relevant?
I can interpret those verses for you and debate them. I can explain you what I'm trying to tell you.
So what I'm saying is, do you believe that these verses are relevant today?
These verses are out of context. They are in a time and a place.
Okay, so they're not relevant today?
They are in a time and place, and they're not relevant for Australia, no.
Right, so you wouldn't mind signing it then? Because it says that you believe that these verses are not, these commands from Allah are not applicable, not relevant, and should not be practiced in any form or in today's world by anyone. And no one should murder the unbelievers today.
Absolutely, nobody should. But again, Harry, you are asking me. Do you think that declaration, or whatever you written it up and read it, that declaration and me reading this and me signing it will solve the problem of terrorism?
So now we have strong evidence that Muslims will not sign this document. After all, this isn't just some fanatic. This guy is someone who wears a suit, he trims his beard and he hobnobs in the highest level of government. He's actually employed on a number of government boards and paid by the Queensland government. Now, some of you might think that Muslims would just lie and sign this document anyway using taqiyya. We don't believe that that'll be the case. We believe that Muslims can't sign this document. It's well outside what taqiyya allows. Muslims believe that to sign a document that contradicts Allah will have them thrown into a fiery hell. So far we've been proven correct. However, if you don't believe us, please download a copy of the declaration and ask a Muslim to sign it. Please videotape this and let us know what happens. If you're too afraid to do this, or if you just can't be bothered, we understand and we don't mind. However, please don't go around telling everyone that it won't work just because you don't want to try it. Even if this only works for the most extreme Muslims, we'll have a legal justification here for denying them entry to our country. If a Muslim will not sign to say that they disavow the commands to murder people, then we have the grounds to classify them as a national security risk and treat them accordingly. So the declaration can be downloaded from Australia Wake Up's website. Google it and get to work. I'll put a link in the description below. Good luck.